There is snow on the roof of Australia, covering Kosciuszko, Bogong, and Buffalo, covering the heath, the daisies, and the snow gums, covering the source of Australia's greatest river, the Murray, that flows 1,600 miles to the sea and makes the Murray Valley. Below the snow line, the people of the valley wait for the thaw, wait for the snow to melt into the creeks and streams that make the river, that grows their crops and fattens their cattle.
Looks like there's nobody home at Stuart's place. Tom's probably out getting his droving plant together. He took 2,000 merinos up on top after the thaw last year. Jim Burke with a mob of stores. Herefords. Must bring him into his home paddock, I suppose. Ready to go up on the high plain after the thaw. Nothing like being first in. Best feed you can get up there when the snow's gone. Nice cattle.
Come on there, Daisy. Come on, get along. Where's the last one? Told you about this yesterday. Go on, get up.
So the people of the valley wait on the thaw. The snow lies deep on the mountains and high plains, storing up millions of gallons of water until one morning in early spring. Snow and the water racing down make creeks in the gullies of the timbered hills, make streams in the valleys of the mountains. They run down the Dargles, the Spur, and the Razorback. They run down from Feathertop, Townsend, and Bogong. They run through the ash and the pine of Tumbarumba. Down from the mountains into the valley, down the Indy, down the Swampy, down the slopes to Bringenbrong Bridge, to make a river, the Murray, that flows 1,600 miles to the sea and makes the Murray Valley. Down through the Murray River Valley it lumbers, down past Toowong, Jingellic, and Grania, gathering the waters of the Mitter and the Kiewa, swelling its stream. Then into the Hume Weir to spill over the paddocks of the storage and flood back into the hills. Then to the lowlands, gathering the Ovens. On to Lake Mulwala and Yarrawonga Weir. On to Turumbury, Euston, Echuca. Gathering the Loddon, the Goulburn, Campaspe. Gathering the Murrumbidgee from Gundagai and Wagga. Gathering the Lachlan from Condobolin and Booligal. Gathering the Darling from Burke and Menindee. Fed by the Warrego, Baroo, and Castlereagh. down from the Midlands into the lowlands. Dammed, weired, locked. The Murray serves the people of the valley and then rolls into the sea. The Murray is the largest river in Australia. It is the boundary between two states. It was discovered in 1824 by Captain William Hovell of Yarmouth and Hamilton Hume, Esquire of Parramatta Town, New South Wales.
We'd been on the trek with our wagons for 30 days and had covered some 400 miles. The country was difficult, but we were making good progress. The Aboriginals had hardly troubled us at all. On the morning of November the 16th, we broke camp about half an hour after sunrise and had only gone 3.5 miles by the perambulator when the valley we were following opened out onto a fertile plain. Hume had gone on ahead, and he became extremely excited when he suddenly arrived at the bank of a very fine river.
Today, the Murray River and its valley provides 20% of Australia's crops, worth £30 million a year. Along its banks are towns and cities. And for 385,000 people, it is the common bond of their community. A day in the Murray Valley is a day of work. Work in the paddocks and work in the towns. It is a day of droving cattle, of bringing them in from the plains and the hills beyond the town. It is a day of buying and selling, of meeting and planning. It is a day of children going to school, coming in from the outback farms and stations to take their part in the community. It is a day of men going to the market.
20 I got. Quit the lot up, quit the lot. Raise this dime. Sell it there. Fellas, one hip of coffee. How much? Over that got giant 12, 2 hip of cars, 13, that's 13. Giant 13, hold on, 13, 14, that's 14, 15, that's 15, 2 hip of cars, 16, that's 16, 17, that's 17, hold on, 17, 18, that's 18. Cars are too cheap. That's 39, giant 39, done, 40, 8, 13, 8, 13, done, 6, 7, 8, 6, 8, 9, 6, 9, 10, 6, 10, that's 6.5, done.
150 miles away in the Barmah Forest, 500,000 super feet of red gum is going down the river on barges to the mill at Echuca. Spread through the Murray Valley are 2.5 million acres of timber. Red gum and blackbutt, cypress and ash, ironbark, stringy bark, eucalyptus and pine. 200,000 pounds worth of timber every year for commerce and industry. And out on the plains of the Riverina, 2 million sheep are on the move. On the move to shearing sheds and sale yards, droving over the endless salt bush tracks, living from water to water.
We move off at first light and average about 15 miles a day. Used to be a 2-to-1 gamble, but the government's put bores along the routes now like this one. A drought may be anything from 3 or 4 days to 3 or 4 months. 16 weeks living in a saddle and making your home in a plant wagon. Our plants usually me, the missus and kids, 2 hands, a wagon and 14 horses, and the old man. We're taking this mob to Deniliquin. Got about 200 miles to go yet.
Back on the banks of the Murray, it's time for irrigation. At Mildura, Renmark, Wakiri, Payap, Paringa, the water is running between the vines. In January, February, the pickers will come from the cities. 5,000 men and women to pick 5 million pounds worth of grapes.
Reg Pearson, student. Walter Hilberg, fruit picker. Mervyn Otto, labourer.
Helen Thompson, student.
Mark Davidson, seasonal.
June MacDonald, domestic.
Bill Hayes, labourer. Sven Hackinson, journalist.
All right, all right. Poor McHugh, there's plenty of time, plenty of grapes. You'll be sick of the sight of them in a few weeks. Sign on, get your baskets over at the shed.
And down the river at Morgan, the pumping station is taking 3 million gallons every day. 3 million gallons of the Murray, and driving it over the plains and the hills 200 miles to Whyalla on the Gulf. Past Robertstown across the Malga Flats. Up 1,600 feet to Hanson's Storage. Down to Galnair and Winnanawi. Through Port Augusta and up over Lincoln's Gap. 3 million gallons of the Murray to Whyalla on the Gulf. Surging through the pipeline to give life to a town and its industry, the building of ships.
I name this ship the Iron Monarch. May her life be long and her seas be calm, and may God bless all who voyage in her.
Far from the hammer and the blast of the shipyards, down at windswept Murray Mouth, down at the end of the river, the fishermen of Goolwa are laying their nets, sweeping them into the reaches for butterfish, mullets, jewfish and perch, out into the Coorong and across the Tawitchery, sweeping them out down to the sea, earning their living by the oldest industry on earth.
We lay our nets out into the main stream and let the current bring them on down. And we just walk along the banks holding one end. Fish run into them, flat bang, and get caught in the mesh. It's not a hard job, but you got to be there at the right time. Keep one eye cocked on the weather. If you get caught in a southerly buster, you can lose your nets and all under seaweed and sand. Before they built the barrage to stop the salt going up the river, we had about 600 square miles of water to work. Now, we got about 14. Some of us got mighty worried at first. In fact, we got pretty mad. One bloke reckoned he was going to write to the king. But we're still doing all right. The butterfish are pretty strong. Go anything up to 40 pounds. Those are butterfish. They'd be about 30 pounds each, I suppose. Bring up to 1 and 2 pence a pound on the Adelaide market. Mighty nice eating, too.
And while the fishermen of Goolwa and the Coorong cross the desolate sandbars, going home. Back up the river, the farmer of the Riverina is going into his field to check his crop. He's got 1,000 acres under wheat. It's straight and tall, and the heads are full. Last year, he got 12 bags to the acre. This year, he might even get 15. But the stalks are still tough. The grain won't rub free. Late rain is keeping the crop damp. He can't harvest yet. He must wait. And that's the risk. If a storm comes through, he could lose the lot. It could beat the crop to the ground. 1,000 acres, 15,000 bags of wheat, a year's work lost in a few hours. That's the risk. And he must wait.
Despite the efforts of the United Nations, the food situation in Germany has not been relieved. And according to a Berlin report, it is estimated that 40,000 persons will die in Europe this winter for want of food. Here is the local news. In the west of New South Wales, severe storms have caused widespread damage to wheat crops. Damage so far is estimated at £75,000. A spokesman for the Department of Agriculture said that if the storm continued until tomorrow morning, farmers would lose up to 5 million bushels of their crop. Here is a late message that has just come in. The storm raging in the west of New South Wales does not show any sign of easing. The front of the storm is now moving southwest towards the wheat areas of the upper Murray Valley. Corowa, 340 points. Estimated damage, £4,500. Jerilderie, 289 points. Estimated damage, £8,000. Junee, 310 points.
Music,
estimated damage, £7,000. Wagga Wagga, 189 points. Damage not yet estimated.
Sweet tansy. And
Billabong,
silver fly.
319 points.
Silver
Estimated
fly.
damage,
What's the birdies
£11,000.
do? What?
Total damage to
just
date
a minute.
is estimated at £2 million. According to a special bulletin just issued, it now seems that the storm is blowing itself out. The forecast for the Riverina and Upper Murray is cloudy to fine with light
The
wind.
storm is blowing itself out. This time he is one of the lucky ones. Throughout the Murray Valley, the harvesters are going into the fields, going into the 2.5 million acre crop to strip and bag the grain. This is the valley, and these are its people. The fishermen of Goulburn, the drovers, the dairymen, the timber getters, the growers, the wheat farmers of the Riverina. Their lives are shaped by this river, the Murray that rolls from Kosciuszko to the sea. Its flow is their prosperity, its drought is their tragedy. This water, this river, this Murray. The strength and the source of the river lie in these mountains, the catchment that gives it water from 1 million acres of snow and 1,000 creeks and gullies. This catchment destroyed means the river destroyed, and the valley and its people ruined. And yet every summer brings the threat of destruction. Despite the vigilance of those who care, somehow somebody or something will turn this sanctuary of timbered hills into the roaring hell of a forest fire. In 1 year, 1,000 homes destroyed. 4 country towns completely wiped out. In 1 year, 14 million pounds worth of damage. In 1 year, 1 million sheep, 50,000 cattle burnt where they stood. But the destruction of the river catchment by forest fires is only one of the tragedies that confront the people of the valley. The other is the destruction of 5,000 square miles of tree-covered land by thoughtless ring barking. Around the trunks, circles are cut that stop the sap. Within a few seasons, the trees are dead. The roots of the dying trees lose their grip of the soil. There are no longer leaves to shade and hold the moisture. Everything is set for wind and rain to start erosion across the paddocks. The people of the valley know the danger. These are the problems they must face. In a typical valley town hall, they get together to work things out. Delegates come from far and wide. Councillor Maguire, wheat farmer. J. Pigden, pioneer settler. Councillor Martin, wool grower. J. Walker, secretary of the Water Trust. Tom Bailey, stock and station agent. James Rennie, vice president of the Development League.
Away goes the water in flood, wasted. What we have to do is first stop more fires, and secondly, save the areas that have been burnt out.
Mr. Chairman, fires aren't the worst of it. The biggest trouble up there, there's too many cattle. They're eating out the grass, and if the grass goes, the soil will go, and there'll be no feed and no catchment to have a fire on.
Mr. Chairman, water erosion only does half the damage. What about overploughing, which starts wind erosion? Look at the Mallee. 1 million acres of Australia blown away, disappeared into thin air. And what's left? A barren waste. When I went into the Mallee 25 years ago, just after the First World War, it was healthy country. As far as you could see, nothing but tree-covered plains and rolling hills. Good wheatland. All we had to do was clear a few acres and help ourselves to bumper wheat crops. Money from home. So we smashed up the scrub and rolled it over, cleared it bare as the back of your hand, ploughed up every square yard we could lay our hands on. Ploughed and sowed 1,000 acres, then waited and watched. And sure enough, we got full heavy crops, 15 bags to the acre. We reckoned we were made. So rip it off, plough it up again. And we got another bumper crop, full as they come. This was it. We were going to be rich. Rip it off and plough again. But we did it once too often. The heavy loam soil became fine red dust. We didn't realize the scrub we cleared had held it together. We soon found out. I went back to my property last year and looked out across what used to be my wheat field. That paddock gave me 6,000 bags of wheat. Those desert-looking sandhills were acres of rich red earth. We'd torn the heart out of it. This used to be the earth I ploughed and grew wheat in, the earth I was so proud of.
These are the problems of the valley. These are the problems of all great valleys. The people of the Murray Valley together, supported by the Commonwealth and state governments, are working them out. Today there is movement in the valley, across the river flats, out over the plains, down the mountain catchment, through the sprawling foothills. Echo the sounds of men and machines. The people of the valley are restoring the catchment by contour ploughing to stop the water washing away the soil, by planting 1 million trees to shade and hold the moisture. The rain will soak in, the soil will hold, the mountains will be green again. And on the ground and in the air, fire patrols keep watch over the developing catchment.
Hello, Berg on 3AO. Hello, Berg on 3AO. Queen's Everett Dog calling Berg on 3AO. Nil sightings in your area. No fires in your area. Okay, see you tomorrow. So long, Jimmy.
And in the valleys and the gorges, new dams are being built and old ones extended. Dams and weirs at Barranjuck, Eildon, Cairncurran and Kiwa. Revolutionary feature of the Kiwa scheme is the drilling of great tunnels through the mountains to take water to underground power stations. Power for Australia, from the dams and the tunnels at the head of the valley.
Bring us through! Take them right down, will you? Take them right down!
Down from the mountain dams and stations comes power for the valley and Australia beyond. Power for new industries. Shoes, machines, clothing, plaster, windmills. At Benalla, Kerrang, Swan Hill, Shepparton. Industries moving out from the crowded seaboard cities into the Murray Valley. And the water saved by the dams and weirs flows down to the orchards and the groves of the valley. Flows down to Robin Vale, Loxton and Knife. Flows through the peaches, the pears and the apricots. Flows through the oranges, the lemons and the grapefruit. Down from the mountains into the valley. Growing food for Australia and the peoples of the world. Into the expanding valley are coming new settlers. The men of El Alamein and New Guinea, the men of Greece and Borneo, the rats of Tobruk. Soldier settlers with a stake in Australia, and new Australians from the United Kingdom and the war-torn countries of Europe. Raising the dust along the valley, at Tulakul, Namurka, Kumiala, and Athalia, with shovels and scoops and a love of their land, spreading channels and canals, building their farms, building their homes. More water, more power, more people. From Kosciuszko to the sea, the roads and the rails resound, bringing in the products of the world, taking out the products of the valley. This is the valley, and these are its people.
The crops are rich, the soil is good.
The valley needs our labor, our work towards the common cause. Make the valley ours.
Check the drifting sand dunes. Stop the forest fires.
Irrigate the pastures where our fathers' cattle starve. The turbines sing. The tractors roar to the plans of men in the valley.
100 towns need building.
There's 1,000 farms to clear. Send power across the ranges to the industry beyond.
Axemen from Bogong, Boorlugul Drover,
Dogmen from Barinjak, muster your powers. Meet the challenge of the river. The valley is ours.